Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Patricia, a Nigerian menswear designer based here in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. Today's video is on how to make this beautiful corset blouse with skin illusion neckline. So if this is what interests you, this is what you love to know, ensure to stay to the end so you can follow all the process I use in making this beautiful corset blouse. As you can see, the skin illusion neckline, so relaxed and so fitted. So without further ado, let's get straight into this tutorial. These are the materials I'll be using for this tutorial. I have my bra cup of the bust size I'm working with. I have my measuring tape, chalk, scissors. I also have my Ankara fabric, so beautiful. I also have my lace, the lace I'll be using for the bust area and the sleeves as well. So I'll be matching up the lace with this doll face linen. So this is how it looks. And I have my cotton lining as well. I have this skin illusion neck. So it stretches on one direction, it stretches more on one direction compared to the other, so you have to look out for that while buy your skin illusion, and it suits so well on my skin. So this is the hairstay I'll be using. These are my patterns I have already drafted in the previous video. I'll link it somewhere below so you go check it out before you can continue with this tutorial. So guys, I went ahead to cut out the required materials for it using my pattern. This is the skin illusion. I did add allowance at that neckline area, so this is it here. I added allowance for this bust area. I cut out the linen, the net, the hairstay, everything I need for it. I have also the cotton lining as well. I have this main piece. I cut out everything for it. I gave necessary allowance for it. I gave 0.75 inch around that side that I'm touching now, and I gave 1.5 inches by the side front, that side. So this is the back. I also cut out the back yoke using the lace. I also cut out the Ankara as well. I gave half inch at that area for the center back. I will just write the allowances I gave on them on the screen. So this is it here. I went ahead to iron the hairstay on the linen piece for the bust area, the Ankara fabric as well, for the lining piece, for the cotton lining, and also the Ankara piece as well. So let's work with the bust first. So we're working on the bust first. So this is the bust area. I'm just going to unpin them now and keep them aside, and I'm going to place the nets now, sorry, the lace on the lining piece for the doll face. So I'm placing it this way and also going to place it for the center front, just the way I am doing right now. So while I was done placing all of that, I just have to use this pattern to match it up to know which is the center front and the side front that matches each other. And this is it here. So I'm just going to use my pin now to pin them first. So this is where I notched the bust point. I notched, so it serves as a guide while joining it. So I'm pinning it right now just to hold the lace and the lining together. So I'm just going to sew it all the way from there. The way I'm pinning it now is just the way I'm going to sew it. So I'll go ahead and pin it and show you what it looks like. So this is it here. I'm just going to sew there. This is what it looks like at the end. See how cupped it is. So I'm just sewing it there, and I'll do the same thing for the other side. This is how it looks when I was done sewing them all together. So this is the inside. I'm just going to unpin it, and I'll go ahead now to use my scissors to notch that area. So I'm notching that point right now, and just do the same thing for this side. And after notching it, I'll go ahead now to open the seams open, and I'm just going to press on it there So I'll do the same thing for the both bust area, and this is it when I was done doing that. So this is the bra cup I'm going to use. I'm just going to match it up to see how it looks. This is it here, and you can see gaping at that point. So I just had to, stitch it there, making like a little dart, a dart that could measure like 3 inches or 3.5 inch. I think I went ahead to measure it and measured 3 inches. So I'll measure it and stitch it there. This is how it looks when I was done stitching it. So this way helps it better. This is just what I do for some cups I work with. So I'm not going to place it at that point. I'm going to slant the cup just the way I'm slanting it now. So I'm just slanting it like this. I know if you're watching my tutorials on here, you'll notice that I normally put the cup dart area to match with the center of the cup. So this one is a different one because of the skin illusion that went deep to the underbust. So I'm just going to pin it this way and go ahead to stitch it just the normal way we stitch it round it. So I did it, and this is how it is when I was done stitching them together. And after this, I'll bring in the main piece, which is this one, and I'm going to unpin them, and I'll keep the lining piece aside. Like I'll remove the lining and keep them aside, and then work on the main piece for now. So for the main piece, that's the Ankara fabric, I'm just going to sew along that side just to join them together using 0.75-inch allowance I gave for it. And this is how it will look when I'll be done sewing it. To the side front, I'll just bring them in, and I'm going to place it this way and sew along that area using 0.75-inch allowance I gave. So I'll pin it alongside that area and do the same thing for the other side front. So I'm just going to pin it there and sew along. By the end of the video, you'll get to know why I use 0.75-inch allowance for that part. So I'm going to press it open after sewing it. I'm going to open up the center front, and I'll press the seams open just this way and go ahead to iron it to lay flat. So this is it here. I will iron it, and this is how it looks when I was done ironing it. So I'm going to top stitch on them, like, yeah, just the way I'm showing you here. And this is it when I was just top stitching on them, like running a straight stitch on them. So I'll keep it aside and bring in the bust area. So this is the bust part of it. It's time for us now to put yoke. So I'm just trying to test it and see how it looks like after joining. And this is the yoke I'm just going to use to put the nets to that extent. So I'm just going to unpin the yoke now and join them to the bust area first before joining it to the main piece. So this is how the net looks. It's two, so I cut out 2 nets. I don't like using just single, so I'll pin them now just to hold them all together instead of going ahead to stitch it all around. So after pinning it, I'm just going to join it from there, just the way I am doing right now. Just follow what I am doing closely, you'll get what I did there. So I'm pinning it that way. I'm using my pin to just to serve as stitch for now. So I'll pin it this way, just the way I'm doing all around it, and I will also do the same thing for the other side of the bust. This is how it looks when I was done pinning them together, and I'll go ahead to stitch it. And this is it when I was done stitching them. This is just how it looks, so neat. So it's time for us now to turn it with the lining piece. This is the lining piece I'm using for it, and I'm just going to stitch the lining piece just this way that I'm doing now, like turning it front facing front. I'll stitch it all the way down Just follow closely what I am doing at this moment. So I'll also do the same thing for the other side of it. You might notice some excess around the yoke area. Just ignore it, but ensure that your net stretches this way. So this is just how it needs to stretch. So now I have to now go ahead to turn the other part of it, and this is just the way I'm going to turn the other part. I'm going to place it this way and use my hemming gum to turn it. This is the way I like to turn my upper parts, just to make it to relax more when I'm done stitching it and ironing it with my steam iron. It's going to relax more better for me. So I'll go ahead to turn that part and I'll show you what it looks like. This is it when I was done stitching them and turning the lining piece as well. This is how the inside looks, so neat. So guys, this is just everything we worked on. I'll go ahead now to iron it and make it lay flat, using my steam iron to iron it very well to lay flat for me. So after doing that, this is how it looks, and it's time for us now to join. I'm just going to notch the center of this bust area, and I'm just going to also make it to align with the center for that main piece, and I will stitch it starting from the center to the top part of it. So I will stitch it from the center to the top part of it, just the way I am pinning it at this moment. This is how it looks when I was done pinning them all around. I'll just go ahead now to stitch it around that area, and this is it when I was done stitching them, looking all neat and very nice. So this is it. This is the front part of it, looking fine. So I just time for us to turn it with the lining piece. So to do this, I just had to flip it like this, and I'm going to measure up the center lining piece to the center main piece, just this way that I'm doing, and I'm going to sew it to the other end, just the way I joined the bust area to the main piece. So I'm going to use my pin to pin it all along, just this way. So this is the finished look when I was done pinning it all around. This is how it looks, and this is it when I was done pinning them all around. I'm just going to stitch it around that area to the end, and this is it when I was done stitching them all around together. I also went ahead to iron it to lay flat. So we need to work on the back, and this is the back part. I'm opening it and I'm going to match up the center back to the side back, just this way that I'm doing now. Ensure to work with your pattern while joining so you won't make any mistake. So for my, I notched the center back and the other center back just to know where I'm joining to each other. That's why it was easier for me to join them up like this. So I was able to identify which is which and which is not which. I'm just going to sew along that part that I'm going to pin right now, just the way I'm placing them front facing front. I'll pin it up and I'll sew along that area and this one as well. So this is the article when I was done stitching and ironing them as well, and I also stop stitch on it, and this is it here, the way I did for the front as well. I did it for the back. So this is it here, and I'll bring in the yoke for the back, and this is it here. I'm just going to join the yoke to the main piece, but before that I will have to turn the yoke neckline area. So I'm just unpinning them now, and I'm going to use this my bias, emerald green bias, just the matching color for the leaves as well, and I'm going to turn it just this way that I'm placing it right now. I'll turn it this way, just the neck alone, and we'll also go down and stitch there, there and there as well. So guys, this is the outcome when I was done stitching all of that and pressing it to lay flat, and this is the back now. So I'm just going to turn the yoke and the back all together. So I'm placing it the right side facing the right side for each of them, and this is it here. I'm just going to use my pin to pin it along that area for it to just hold it together for now. So I'm just going to sew there and there as well, and this is the look when I was done joining them together, and this is how neat it looks. So for the back, we're going to turn the lining piece now. So to do that, I'll stitch it there and also to the center back as well. So I'll also do the same thing for the other center back and the other back piece. So I'll use this bone for that center back area just to add more structure to it. This particular bone here is very necessary to achieve a very good back design and back look as well. So I'm just going to, stitch it there, use it to turn the lining piece and the main piece all together. I made another change. I had to put the bias there, and I loosened up the stitch I already had there. It's because I want to put boning at the center so that when I'm putting my eyelet, it's not going to affect it. So I'll use the lining piece now to turn it over just the way I did for the other one. I'm going to stitch it there, and this is the other one I did. I've already turned the lining piece also, so I had to use the lining piece and stitch it, and this is how everything looks. This is the inside of it, looking all neat and all of that. So I'm going to join the dress now. I'm going to face it forward facing front, and I'm going to join the main piece first separately before joining the lining piece separately as well. I'll stitch it there, and to the other side of the side front, I will also arrange it very well, and I'll go ahead also to stitch it there. And after doing that, this is what it looks like when I was done stitching and ironing the seams open just the way I did here. So I actually iron the seams open so I can put my regling bone. So I'm going to put my regling bone by the sides of this blouse. So I'm just going to put it there and go ahead now to turn the lining piece just the way I am placing it, just the same way I use in turning the main piece. So I will stitch it right there, and this is how it is when I was done stitching it and ironing them as well. This is how it lays flat. So this is the bone part of it, and I'll just go ahead now to put the boning for it. So it's time for us to pipe them. So this is the plastic boning I'll be using for this top. So I'm just going to pipe the plastic bone there. Just watch a video on my channel on how to make use of a regling bone and plastic bone. I'll link it in the description box below, so ensure to watch the video using the link below. So this is how it looks when I was done stitching and piping the boning as well. So I'll measure what I have there, and I'm just going to measure it and cut out a material. This is it. Using the measurement I got there, I'm just going to place it this way, just like piping the mouth of this dress. So it's in form of hemming your dress. This is the way it looks when I was done piping the mouth of this beautiful blouse. And to the shoulder area, I'm just going to place it this way, and I'm going to use the net part to flip it to the other side and turn the lace inside just this way I am doing now. I flipped it to the other side, and I'm going to use my pin now to pin it there before going ahead to stitch it on my sewing machine. So I'll go ahead now to pin it and stitch it as well. So this is the finished look when I was done stitching the shoulder part. I will go ahead now to do the same thing for the other shoulder part. This is the armhole area where I'll pass my sleeve inside, and this is everything I worked on for the shoulder part as well. So this is the dress looking beautiful. So I'll go ahead now to fix the eyelets and make the rope for the back. And this is it here for the sleeves that I've already fixed, and the eyelet as well. Likewise, the pressing button I put at the upper part. So remember the excess net we have around that armhole area. This is it here. So I just ignored it and put my sleeve as well, and it also came out very nice. So guys, this is the rope I made to pass it inside the eyelet. So this is everything we worked on, looking all beautiful. I also went ahead to make a beautiful skirt with side ruffles just to pair up with this blouse. So guys, if you enjoyed this video and you love it and you want more of it, ensure to give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't already, and click the notification bell so you won't miss out any of my video. Leave a comment below if you have any question or suggestion. See you in my next video. Bye.